Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Way Forward Workshop Leader Lunch Break. It is the last Leader Lunch Break for the year 2022, hard to believe. And we're thrilled to welcome Robert Newman. Robert has dedicated his career to helping others, first as a child counselor at Berea Children's Home, then as a probation officer in Medina, and currently as the Director of Development for the Community Assessment and Treatment Services, commonly known as CATS, a substance abuse and mental health treatment agency located in Slavic Village. His roles sadly offered him a front row seat in witnessing the ravages of the heroin epidemic from both the law enforcement and the treatment perspectives. He has delivered multiple impacts during his career, and he shared his knowledge and his experience as an adjunct professor at Tiffin University. But I suspect that the impact of which he is proudest is serving as a big brother. He single-handedly guided, mentored, coached his little brother to graduate from high school in 2005 and remained in close touch with him to this day. It was that young man who wrote a recommendation for Robert in his application to the Cleveland Bridge Builder class. As a member of that Cleveland Bridge Builder class of 2015, his inner rigor was manifest when he motivated his classmates to join him in the Tough Mudder Challenge. And if you don't know what that is, feel free to Google it. Miraculously, they all survived and emerged ready to follow his lead. They first banded together to serve families in need at the holidays, and that effort has grown into a formidable movement, the Prosperity Project. We welcome Robert today and look forward to hearing the impact that he and his Bridge Builder colleagues and friends and others in the community are making. Robert?
Thank you, Marianne. I promise I am not as great as she made me sound. My wife's on here. You can just ask her. So the Prosperity Project, we were bridge builders, and I see a lot of my classmates. We're the class of 2015, and a couple of our sessions, like we were at Urban Community School, was one of the schools we visited. One of our classmates had, her daughter went to Anton Gardena. We had some connections there, and we saw a lot of kids that, you know, just didn't have what we're all lucky to have. So, excuse me. At the end of our class session, I reached out to our Facebook page and I said, hey, you know, why don't we do just a Christmas adopt-a-family for one of the families at one of the schools? And everybody, I mean, there was like 62 people in our class at that time, and literally everybody jumped on board. So we had a family from Anton Gardena, and it was probably 4 days. We had every single thing on their list. And we still had a couple thousand, we had almost $8,000 in gifts and cash donated in about 7 days. So that's a lot of money, a lot of gifts. We reached back out to Urban Community School and to Anton Gardena, and we ended up doing 6 families that first year with a total of 16 kids. 2 of the families had lost just about everything they owned to fires. So that first year, I just put out on Facebook, and we started requesting donated furniture and stuff like that. And we were able to furnish a new apartment for one of the families and a home for the other family. Plus, we literally had everything on their Christmas list for the kids. And I always envisioned this to be more than just you know, a Toys for Tots kind of thing, and we're going to get Christmas presents for everybody. I wanted to be able to do more to help families. So the fact that, you know, we were able to get the furniture and stuff was really, it meant a lot to me. And then over the years, we kind of expanded. You know, I'm looking at some notes here. So it just seemed every year there was a more tragic story than the year before. In 2017, we moved up. We were doing 8 families at that point. And that year there was 30 kids total. And it was early December. And ironically, I was down in Columbus for this same event when this happened. We were trying to help get a furnace repaired for a family. We were quoted a price of, I want to say it was like $1,100, something like that. And then the furnace company got in, looked at the furnace. The house was almost 100 years old. And whoever had connected the furnace, one of the reasons it died was it wasn't vented properly, and the family was in danger of CO2 poisoning. So they had to redo all the duct work, and about an $1,100 or $1,200 job all of a sudden went to $3,200 or $3,460. It was, I think, 7 days before Christmas. I posted a notice on Facebook, and one of my anonymous classmates wires me almost $3,000. Hey, get this. I'm sorry. I said, God. I'm sorry. Anyways, he wires me. It was like $2,800. Says, get the furnace fixed, but I want to do it anonymously. So in basically 48 hours, they had a new furnace. The worst part was their furnace died, and 3 days later, the high temperature was 7 degrees. I remember because we were freezing in Columbus because we had to walk outside to all these group sessions around the convention center. So I've had a lot of support from friends, from family, bridge builders, classmates. It just means a lot to me. I was lucky because I grew up with, it seemed like everything I wanted for Christmas, because I was raised by my grandparents. But what started this vision stand was, I've got 2 brothers and a sister. And for the most part, we were all raised by my grandparents. My mother had addiction issues her entire life, mental health issues her entire life. Our dad kind of left early. And it just seemed like he came back long enough to father my brothers and sister, but then he would disappear again. So Christmas meant a lot to me. And from my time in probation, my time working at CATS, my time working with Berea Children's Home, all you see is the worst circumstances in people's lives. And I think if you continue that, if you cannot fix that trend, if you can't show kids at an early age that, hey, there's people out there that care, there's people out there that want to help you, it's just a never-ending cycle. And, you know, I had my grandparents do that for me. Some of these kids don't have that. You know, and God, I'm such a mess. Anyways, every year, like I said, it seemed like we had a bigger issue than the year before. One of the stories, since I'm already bawling like a baby, one of the stories that I always tell everybody, and I saw Nick Kota on this meeting, he was there. We were furnishing a house for a woman and her kids who had fled domestic violence, and her ex had destroyed all of their clothes, literally cut them up, threw them in a pile and set them on fire, destroyed all their furniture, everything they had. So we were able to furnish this house, and we are on the east side of Cleveland putting up a bed. And Nick asks the boyfriend that was there with us, do you want the bed here under the window? And he responds, no, I can't afford one of my kids getting shot in the night. So they had to put everything on the interior walls because there's just random gunshots. And I just can't imagine growing up like that. So we just want to bring a little bit of like normalcy and joy to as many people as we can. I know that in 2018 was our biggest year ever. And we ended up with 15 families that year and 45 children. News Channel 5 covered a story, or did a story about us, and followed us to a delivery for a Gold Star family. They had lost, so their father was blown up in Iraq by an IED, but he survived. But he was in a wheelchair, had a ton of health issues. He survived back home for almost 2 years, and then he finally passed away before the holidays. And they were left, if I remember right, there were 8 kids total in that family, because the oldest daughter had a baby. And it was a blended family to begin with. So they are all living in a relatively small house. And we were able to get computers for, I believe there were two kids. Two of the girls were going to college the following year. We got laptops for them. We paid for the junior high or middle school trip to Washington, D.C. for one girl. That was the only thing she had on her list. So we got her some other things, but we paid for her trip to D.C. Like I said, we wanted to try and make it more than just, hey, here's some Christmas gifts. Good luck. And then the one from, gosh, I can't even remember what year it was. It was a few years ago before COVID. But we had a family that I could not get. I contact the schools and go through the counselors usually to get a list of families to reach out and contact and try and get things set up. And it was one family I could not get a hold of the mother. I could not get her to call me back. She had fled domestic violence. So I knew that about her, and I knew there were 4 kids. This is a family that, actually went to school with my daughter down here, down in Medina County where I live. So finally, the school counselor got mom to call me, and it turns out mom and the kids were living in a van in the Walmart parking lot. So again, put the notice out to the class, put it out on Facebook, and we put them in a hotel. Initially, we put them up for a week. Donations started pouring in. I had people driving from West Virginia. I had a guy driving from DC, and he just kept, hey, I'm going to pay for 3 days. I'm going to pay for 2 days. I'm going to pay for a week at the hotel. And they just charge it to their credit card. Off they went. I had no idea who any of these people were. So my daughter and I were working with a school counselor, and we were able to find somebody that had an apartment in the school district because she wanted to keep her kids in the school district. They had a house, actually, it was. And we were able to get them set up. She had saved up some money for a security deposit. We gave her a little bit more money to cover the first month's rent. And my daughter and I went over there on Christmas Eve, put up a tree, lights, all that stuff, and put all the presents under the tree. And we before that, but we went in, decorated everything on Christmas Eve, and they moved in the evening of Christmas Eve. So that was always one of my favorites because we still see that family every now and then, still have contact. I've run into the kids at the grocery store, and they'll come up and give me a hug, how you doing, and stuff like that. So it's just it literally is all of you. I mean, my daughter and I, we work with the deliveries, and I do the paperwork. But I know so this started in 2015. So this is our 7th year. Right now we have done 228. We've helped 228 kids with Christmas. That's including what we have. We have 45, I believe, this year. And we've raised almost $30,000 in cash. So it's actually $29,588 in cash. And we have wrapped, and a lot of you people on here have helped us wrap almost 3,000 Christmas gifts over the years. And this year, things are going great. Had everything wrapped up. And then I get a call, or actually I saw a post on Facebook. And now my wife will tell you this, with my kids, I'm not the disciplinarian. She's Dr. No. I can't tell anybody no. So it's a woman that works with Cleveland Metropolitan School District with kids with behavioral health issues and trauma. One thing that she found that gets all the kids together and on the same page is they love playing flag football, but they have no equipment. They have one rubber football that one of the kids brought in. Some of the kids are playing in sandals, and here it is December because they don't have shoes. So she just posted this in a neighborhood Facebook group that I'm a part of. we had some of the cash, so I went out and we ordered the flag football equipment for 24 kids, jerseys, flag belts, all that stuff. Now we're working on getting shoes for all of the kids. And when she told the kids, what was going on, the kids asked, "Do we have to leave the shoes at school?" Because they don't get new shoes. They're not used to that, and they just didn't know how to react. So now we're working on shoes. Then another classmate of mine, Alex Leslie, passed the Prosperity Project information along to a colleague of his that works with Cleveland Housing. It used to be Cleveland Housing Network. Now it's CHN Partners. And they are left with one building that Toys for Tots has not been able or is not able to provide any gifts for. So now, now I'm scrambling to get gifts for 78 kids in a low-income housing unit. So, sorry about this. It just means so much. And I wish everybody could come on some of these deliveries. And you see these kids that are like, they're living in some of the worst conditions and they're dealing with the worst things. I mean, they're just, it's like the 1 minute of joy it seems that they have. I'm just happy that we can do that. And I really do. I just kind of organize it. I swear to God, this is literally all of my friends. This is my Bridge Builders classmates. This is my family. My daughter goes on almost all the deliveries with me. And my son's 7. I'm hoping once he stops believing in Santa Claus, he'll start going on the visits with us. And we work with the families because, some of these kids are older, so it doesn't matter when you show up with the gifts. A lot of them are still young enough where they believe in Santa Claus, and, we don't, it's not about us. It's not about any of that stuff. We want to do whatever is necessary to help these kids. So I've made, it looks like a shady deal going down in a random Walmart parking lot where I'm delivering gifts to somebody in the back of their car so they can go home and hide them from their kids. People still reach out and thank us. The kids at Anton Gardena School, I love those kids and I love that school. They always write thank you letters and I try to post them and share them with everybody. And I know I'm not great at that because really other than me and my daughter who, Facebook's for old people, so she doesn't even know how to operate it. That's kind of it. So I know I'm not as up to date with getting notices and letters and everything else out. But what matters is getting the stuff out to the families and helping as many people as we can. And I couldn't do it without people like you.
Robert, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your heart with us. I think you've moved maybe all of us to tears. I'm hosting this, so I have to pull it together, but we are all really inspired by your passion and your commitment, and just thank you for everything you've done. I know you probably haven't had a chance to look at the chat, but I will save it because there's lots of praise coming in, lots of support for all that you're doing. So thank you. The first question I'm going to ask, because I know it's on everybody's mind, what can we do to help? How can we get involved? How can we best serve what you're doing?
So, this year is such a unique situation because, in the last 48 hours, I've literally made commitments to including the football team, another 90 some kids. And as soon as I get back home this evening, I'm going to start going through the finances of what we have left because a lot this year, I think, is the first year almost every family was adopted individually by a person or somebody else, another family. A lot of times it's somebody will adopt a kid here or a kid here. Sometimes people will adopt a whole family. But this year, I think all 13, 14 of our families have been adopted by individuals or other families. So I'm hoping there's enough to get something for all of the kids with CHN partners. I'm starting to schedule, deliveries, but the big thing is, I mean, we can obviously always use, cash donations or even gift card donations. We try, especially, some of the parents, the single parents, we try to get them something for Christmas. We've given them things, from their kids. We always, almost all of the families get groceries. My agency, we just ordered groceries that will be delivered next week. So we can start passing them out during our deliveries, dry goods, canned goods, things like that. But we ordered about $1,500 worth of groceries that we'll pass out to the families. But really every donation helps. And I will say we have a checking account, we have a PayPal account. But every year, everything goes to the families. There's nobody's paid, there's no profit or anything like that. We try to keep a couple $100 in the account just to keep it open. And really that's it. We've worked with the battered women's shelter on other projects. So that's one of the reasons we try to keep a little bit of money in there in case something comes up. Because I have a storage unit that I collect gently used furniture all year, throw it in the storage unit. And then if like Anton Gatina has called me about furniture in the past, the battered women's shelter of Summit and Medina counties has called me in the past with when somebody's moving out of the shelter and they just have no furniture, and I'll go through, okay, I've got a couple of beds, I got a couch, whatever. I mean, you can ask my wife. My garage is buried right now. Storage unit I can't even get into because we're holding furniture for 2 families right now. So anything helps. I mean, and we appreciate it all, and the families appreciate it all.
Wonderful. And I know we'll share your website and the information with everyone on this call afterwards too. So lots of CBB representation, which I'm thrilled to see today. So talk a little bit about the collaboration with your classmates. How did you go about getting them to help you support your vision and take it from idea to concept?
So I'll be honest, this might be the only thing that's ever involved my CBB classmate that didn't start at a happy hour. I mean, we loved our happy hours, and they were the best happy hours ever. I mean, we put all the other classes to shame, we'll be honest. But it really just started, like I said, it was an idea of, hey, let's adopt a family from one of these schools we went through. And I wish I still had all of the messages and emails. I've changed computers probably 3 times since then, but within a week, I probably had 50 of our 62 classmates all on board. Hey, I'm in. Let me know what you need. What are we going to do? How many families? How many kids? It was great. And there's a core group that, and honestly, almost all of them are on this call right now, that have helped out with wrapping every year. I see Laura. We always go to her office to do wrapping, and then her kids and my kids show up and, yeah, we're going to help wrap. And next thing you know, they're chasing each other with scissors in rolly chairs, like, every juvenile should. Tiffany's on here. I see Shannon, Tammy. I mean, Nick. Nick was big in helping me because I think it was the first 4 years, first 3 years, we weren't actually a nonprofit. It was just, we did it and that was it. And then Nick kind of helped me. He's the one that came up with the name Prosperity Project. He helped me stumble through the nonprofit application stuff, which I actually submitted at the end of 17. There was missing paperwork. They told me about in 18. So it officially became a 501c3 nonprofit in 2019. But the class coming together has been great. I mean, they really are what make this whole project work.
I love that. That's awesome. What advice would you give to others? We have a couple current CBB members on this call too. So what advice would you give to them to take their vision stand and actually put it and make it, get it to fruition?
Gosh, one, I would say you got to stay focused. You got to be determined. And I'm sorry, but nobody's going to have a class like ours. You've got it. Now is the best time. Like, it's while you're still engaged with all of these amazing people at Bridge Builders, that's the best time to do it. Without all of these connections, I would never have been able to, we would have never been able to pull this off. I mean, I see Kyle Miller up here, had no idea who the guy was. And now I can't get away. Like, any kind of council meeting or legal, this guy's everywhere, and you just build on these connections you make in your class. And that is the best time to really take your vision stand and start moving forward. Because you'd be surprised at the support. I mean, I didn't expect it to turn out like this. But I was shocked, pleasantly shocked at how quickly everybody jumped on board. And I mean, here we are 7 years later and people are still supporting it.
Where does the Prosperity Project go from here?
Oh boy. I want to keep doing what we're doing, but I want to expand the project so we can do more for families throughout the year. My vision was never for it to just be around the holidays, because there's a lot of programs that do stuff during the holidays. That's why I wanted to do more than just, hey, here's here's 4 or 5 Christmas gifts for the kids and let's move on. So I'd like to see it do more things throughout the year. The other thing I really envision, and this comes both from my background, my personal background and my work background, I think about the kids of the people we work with at CATS, the people that are battling substance abuse or mental health issues, or the people that are on probation. Their kids see what's going on no matter how young they are. They might not realize or understand the details of it, but they know something's not right. My mom and dad or my family situation isn't the same as everybody else's. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 20 years down the road or something, I would love to be able to provide like actual services to those kids, because if you don't break the cycle with the kids, it's never going to change. You're breeding one, I don't want to say addict, but you're just dealing with people that have enough trauma in their lives. And if you can't put the brakes on that trauma for the kids and show them that there's another way and there's, people out there that care and support you, then there's no hope in breaking the cycle. So I would love to see you be able to offer more services, actual services to the kids and the families of, people going through substance abuse, mental health treatment, or people people that are on probation. I mean, I remember, working in probation, we'd arrest somebody and they would, for violating probation. And one of their all go-to excuses was my kids, what do I do with my kids? And yes, half the time that was probably a BS line. I mean, some of them would bring their kids with them, hoping they wouldn't get arrested because of that. But that just ends up with your kids in protective services. And I think there needs to be some kind of services for the kids that, through no fault of their own, are stuck in this situation.
Well, that's awesome. We cannot wait to see what you do next. You've already done so much to make an impact in so many families' lives. And again, just thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm sure there's a lot more stories that you can tell. So everyone on the call, feel free to follow up with Robert, help in any way. Again, we'll send out some information afterwards, including the website to the Prosperity Project. So thank you, Robert. We appreciate your time today. And happy holidays.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And happy holidays to everybody, and hope to see you soon.